All right, it is Copa America Day, USMNT Soccer Day, our opener, USA versus Bolivia. Exciting times, guys. We have not participated in a Copa America since 2016. It's been 8 years, 8 long years. Our final warm up tournament, well, serious warm up tournament before the 2026 World Cup. And Tac is with me here today from Tactical Manager TV to preview this game. What are we going to expect from our boys tonight? How are we going to play? How should we play? What can we expect from Bolivia? How's everybody feeling, guys? How are you feeling about today? Are you hyped? Are you nervous? Are you feeling blah? What's going on? Thought we'd do these during Copa America just to see if people want, an outlet for nervous game day energy. But Tac, how are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I was about to take a sip when you
My
asked that.
timing is
Yeah, I was
perfect.
like, are you done talking? Should I take I was like, I'm gonna take a sip. No, I'm doing good. Little tired. I drove back from Atlanta yesterday, did the stream for Mexico, but good night of sleep, some coffee, go outside here in Florida. There's a lot of sun. I'll be good for the game. It's kind of weird. You asked about like being nervous for the game. I feel like I feel nervous when we're gonna play Mexico. It went down because we've been beating them so much. But I feel nervous just because there's bantering and all that going on, and there's a lot at stake. I felt very nervous for every World Cup game. It was a bit weird, but that's normal World Cup wise. This game feels a bit weird because I can't. I know Bolivia well enough to know none of us should be concerned. This is
Right.
not just a must win, it's win with some comfort. I'm not saying that you need to beat Bolivia 5-0. You could still beat them 2-0 and play very well, miss some opportunity. That's fine if that happens. But it is one of those games where we have to create a lot of goal scoring opportunities. We have to score at least 2 goals, win with some comfort, and not allow Bolivia to be a threat. Anything
Right.
outside of that is a disappointment. We're going to talk about Bolivia later in this stream for a little bit, not too much.
Yeah.
It's just, guys, it's just not a good team. Think about a bad CONCACAF team. Like, let's say Panama, for example. They're not a bad CONCACAF team, but they're a team that we would always expect the United States to defeat at home when we have our best players. Bolivia is worse. And anyone that's saying they know how to low block, sure, that's all they do in South America when they play away and even when they play at home, but they're still always last or second
Yeah.
to last. It's not like they're low blocking and it's working.
So here, just for context for people, these are the results of Bolivia's last 5 games. They lost 3-2 to Algeria in a friendly. They beat Andorra, okay? Minnows, Andorra 1-0 only. All right, at home in Bolivia. That's Andorra, guys. They lost 1-0 to Mexico's under 23s. They lost 3-1 to Ecuador and 3-0 to Colombia. So this team, it's not a good team. And on the one hand, I think to myself, yeah, we should swat these guys away with ease. It should be a no-brainer. But on the other hand, Trinidad and Tobago came to Austin and with only 10 men held us goalless for 86 minutes. So on the one hand, you're right. We should. And that's absolutely the player different. Not a single Bolivia player would make it into our roster, true or false.
True. Many of the Bolivian players wouldn't make it to many MLS teams, like
Right.
the starting 11 at least. The roster, sure, they would all make it to the roster, but and here's the thing. I thought I did a preview for this game, and I thought I was very harsh on Bolivia, but there were a few Bolivians that watched the video, and they were like, "No, yeah, that's it. You were right." I was like, because I didn't want to underestimate the opponent. I hate doing that. I know sometimes we do sound like we're saying we need to beat this opponent. We don't want to underestimate them. We want to say, look, if we don't put in the work and we don't play well, an upset could happen. I mean, Bolivia has pulled results in the past, but it's just unacceptable. And I want to add some other stats from what you said. You talked about the last 5 games.
Yeah.
Bolivia are currently in a 10-game losing streak in Copa Americas. They have lost the 10 last games they played in the Copa America, the past 3 editions. And I'm going to go even further, Pete, even further. This generation of Bolivia might be even worse than the previous ones. They lost their only goal scorer, Marcelo Moreno. He's actually like a Brazilian center forward that could have played for Brazil. Not good enough to play for Brazil, but he played in the Brazilian league, played in Ukraine at Shakhtar Donetsk. Um, he's not playing. He retired. He's old. And in the past 9 editions of the Copa America, and I can let the chat try to guess this, 9 editions, so 29 games, how many games did Bolivia win?
Uh, Guys, tell us in the chat. One game.
One game in the last 29 editions. Now we're playing with the United States team. We're playing at home. We're not playing La Paz. We're not playing even in Denver, which is, I guess, some altitude.
Yeah.
They've won one game the past 29 Copa Americas they played. And they play the US at home. Our team is supposed to be this team where we got to believe that they'll do something special in 2026. Again, it's not always on Berhalter. It's also on the players. But we can talk about how he could tweak the lineup a little bit because many were saying we're going to probably face a low block. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assumption. How do we break a low block? Low blocks are not easy to break when they're well organized, but there are ways for you to increase the probability of breaking that low block besides just whipping in crosses every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
or having Joe Scally and Anthony Robinson be your superhero attack crosser, inshallah, boys.
essentially.
We are going to talk about predicted starting lineup and what we think the U.S. will do. But first, let's have a quick word from everyone's favorite sponsor. Sports is back with a new and improved pick'em game across all sports that makes it easy to play fantasy sports with just a few clicks. Each sport allows you to build a parlay that includes between 2 and 5 predictions about the outcomes of player projections. As you would expect, the more picks you include, the greater the potential payout. Don't go crazy with it and play responsibly, but adding a few bucks here and there to a game gives it a little more excitement and stakes. Use my promo code 11Yanks or click the link in the description to start playing, and Underdog will match whatever you put in your account up to $100. Enjoy! All right, thank you, Underdog, for helping to sponsor the channel. And of course, guys, I still use everyone's favorite Believe where the game starts. That's right, bet online. But Tac, let's talk about this lineup. This is what I am projecting is going to happen today as far as who's starting. I don't know if you agree with me, so feel free to disagree. We can talk about it. And this is what I think we'll see today. I think we'll see the classic 4-3-3. Essentially what we started against Brazil and Colombia. Well, actually Brazil, not Colombia, because Johnny started against Colombia. Matt Turner in goal. Back four of Joe Scally, Chris Richards, Tim Ream, and Anthony Robinson. Midfield three of... So McKennie and Reyna, I am sure of. They will start in midfield. The only real question is that number 6. It could be either Johnny or Musa. Could it be Tyler Adams? I doubt it. Seeing as he only played 20 minutes against Brazil, I don't think Greg is going to risk him. I think it's going to be Musa, personally, because I think that we're going to be doing a lot of attacking, and that I'm not saying he's necessarily better at this, but Greg might prefer Musa at the 6 because we're not going to be doing a lot of defending, and Johnny's more defensively solid. That being said, Johnny can be goal dangerous, which Musa is almost never. Right, so that's one big difference.
Doesn't Johnny have the same amount of goal contributions that Musa got in like 3 years in La Liga in 6 months?
Yes. Yeah. In 6 months, Johnny has already equaled the amount of goal contributions that Musa had. And then the front three, I mean, obviously Pulisic and Weah are going to start. I don't know if it's going to be Balogun. I'm guessing it's going to be Balogun. He started both of the last games.
No, Pepe started against Brazil.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Pepe started against Brazil. He didn't exactly. I don't think he played poorly. Well, I guess we'll see what Greg does. But for me, those are the only 2 question marks, the 6 and the 9. Everyone else, I'm pretty sure, is taken care of.
Yeah, I think that's the lineup Berhalter will put out, and it'll be as predictable as always. McKennie will be high up the field. Gio Reyna is going to be a deep line playmaker. Musa will try to dribble through like 4 Bolivian players and be very sloppy
and give the ball away.
Gives the ball away, bad passes. Scally and A-Rob have to freaking run 15 miles per game up and down the field, and he'll probably try to play out of the back with Matt Turner. That can't pass for shit. I think that's what it's going to look like. But still, just on the quality alone, it does, like, coaching matters a lot. But for games like this, the coach has to really mess up a lot, and the other coach has to do a lot of things right. The Brazilian coach, Antonio Carlos Zago, for this to be an even matchup. With these players, there should be no issue going through against Bolivia. If you want to, in my video, I did put how I would approach this game. I can share the screen with you and we can show it if you want to put that.
Let me just say real quick, I think a big key to breaking down this low block today is going to be getting Gio Reyna as high up the field as we can. If
Mm-hmm.
Gio Reyna is sitting next to Musa, helping with the build out, you need Gio Reyna behind that front three, as close as possible to that front three. Not Weston McKennie. McKennie should be back there next to Musa. I'm concerned that we're not going to have Reyna high up the field enough in order to be a meaningful contributor to breaking down that low block. And it's bizarre because Gio comes off the bench against Jamaica and gets 2 assists. And ever since then, Berhalter's like, I know what we need to do with this guy. We need to play him as far away from goal as possible. He did that against Mexico, against Brazil, and against Colombia. And I don't think it's the best use of Giovanni Reyna. So for me, that's going to be one of the keys. But let's bring Tac up here and see what we got.
I'll explain phase by phase because this is just a standard lineup. A 4-2-3-1, starting 11. I'll explain why I put Musa as a right back and Ricardo Pepi as a center forward for this game, okay? I think you do too. I rate Balogun ahead of Pepi. I think Balogun's a better player. I just think against low blocks, I don't think this should be the only strategy, crossing, but you will end up crossing quite a bit against low blocks. That will happen. And Pepe's a better poacher. Well, Balogun's more of a transition guy. So it'd be like a 4-2-3-1. And then in possession, it goes more or less like what you were saying, where what happens in possession is Anthony Robinson and Weah provide the width. Johnny drops deep to help on the build-out. McKennie and Musa double pivots. McKennie has a bit more freedom. Musa can stay back a bit more to stop the counterattack. He's also stronger, faster. And then Pulisic and Gio central because both can create. That way you have options through the middle. If you have Pulisic and Gio through the middle, you have a lot of creativity. And if you have Robinson and Weah out wide in possession, you already have enough width in players that can whip in across for Pepe. That way you don't only cross. And again, just so people understand, me and Pete are not against crossing.
Yeah.
We're not against. We're against that being the only freaking play you have.
Right.
That would be the offensive shape. I don't know if you want to comment on that before I put the defensive shape. That's more.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it's some version of a 3-4-2-1, where basically Reyna and Pulisic have free roles behind a striker.
Mm-hmm.
You get your width from Weah and Robinson. And also if Musa wants to go wide, Tim Weah can come inside and combine too.
Mm-hmm.
McKennie and Musa are both box-to-box guys, so they help defend in transition. I like it. I mean, I think that's a great way to try and, because you have your wide options, but also the combination. Really, the thing with low blocks to break them down is the quick combination play. You can't take forever. It's got to be quick 1-2s, movement. Try to, you're going to have limited space, so you can't hang on to the ball. The longer you hang on to the ball, the easier it is for them to shift that block to the ball. But go ahead on the defensive shape there.
Yeah, and just to add to this too, having Pulisic and Gio central, these are two players that can also hit long shots, which against low blocks, if you have a little bit of time and space and you're close to the box, you strike those. You try it. That's what we're trying to say. We want alternatives. Sure, go wide, get in crosses, trying to find Pepe. He's able to finish those chances, but have someone that can hit long shots, have someone that can pick a pass, a player that can slice and dice the defense on his own. That's what we would like to see. But again, we're not going to see this. The defensive shape is pretty straightforward. You just sit back. Oh, crap, ad. At least I make money. Okay, skip. There you go. Just very compact and narrow. And honestly, don't press Bolivia. Let them have the ball. You'll get it back. They don't have the quality to punish you. Don't press. Don't run out of energy. Don't run more than you have to. Go
almost
narrow.
Invite them out a little
exactly, because they won't have the quality. If you just invite them to come towards you, rest. When they have the ball and they come to your field, just press them right there. Get the ball back. They don't have the quality to punish you. So just pretty much straightforward. Johnny is a 6. Gio and McKennie as 2 8s. And Weah and Pulisic ahead of the midfielders. The reason I have them ahead, I mean, sure, you can't really see it there, but they're a little bit ahead of McKennie and Gio because if we recover the ball, Johnny, McKennie, and Gio, boom, long pass, quick. Go quick in transition. We suck in transition because our wide players come in so deep and we have nothing to attack ever. And then you wonder, why do we not do anything in transition? Well, it's kind of hard to do it in transition when your wide players are so deep. And your fullbacks that are supposed to provide the width, they're also so deep. That's the main goal.
Also because it feels like we're told at times to not play in transition. I mean, how many times have we seen Balogun on the shoulder of the last man in transition, but instead of finding him, we make a sideways pass to Anthony Robinson?
Well, God forbid we look dangerous on anything besides crossing.
Do we even look dangerous in crossing? To be honest, not
No,
really.
no, no, we don't. But he lets us try. He's like,
The other
try.
thing about crossing too that I think is kind of underspoken about is that once you cross the ball, more often than not, you're not going to find the head of the person you want, right? 1 out of 5. If you're a good crosser, 1 out of 5, you find the guy's head. Really, winning those second balls is very important because they're going to clear it, right? Usually, if the cross is not, an accurate cross or a pinpoint cross, it gets cleared. Winning those second balls as it gets cleared becomes really important because now you have the chance to like recycle the ball. What we tend to do is win that second ball, but instead of like through balls or shots in a dangerous area, we tend to push it wide again for another cross. And all you're doing is giving the opponent another opportunity and time to adjust. And so it's just so frustrating that even in the second phase of crossing, winning second balls, we still struggle to do the right thing once we win those second balls because we have to recycle it wide again.
Yeah, and hopefully in this game, we see it improve. But again, we're gonna play. Sorry, I just removed the video because that was it.
Yeah, no worries.
They we're probably gonna face a low block. I'm assuming from Bolivia, so we'll see how it goes. My concern is something like the Jamaica game where we start. We usually start sloppy, and then Bolivia gets an early goal, and then they sit back, and the players let the pressure come into it because Jamaica is also not a good team, and we need a known goal in the last minute to score. We'll see. We'll see. Greg will probably have Gio very deep, which that kills the creativity of this team, and Pulisic out wide, which essentially the only play Pulisic will have is just to cut inside, like he did against Brazil once or twice. But we'll see. I just think that anything besides a convincing win today is a major disappointment. If we don't win, the group stage is at risk, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be.
No, and that's a very good point because if you don't win, you get a draw. Even if you beat Panama, that's only 4 points. You're going into Uruguay needing to collect points, right? And that's not a position you necessarily want to be in. I'm going to read a couple of these super chats here. Julian Vivas says, a little off topic, but what do you guys think of the Barajas news lately? Also, is McKennie really considering coming to MLS?
There's nothing on the Barajas one, by the way.
Yeah, the Barajas was just his agent wanting to talk to Edgar. That's pretty much where all this came from, no?
Yeah, and I've asked people around Barajas, same response is like, nope, focused on RSL right now. He's still in between Mexico and the U.S. He's not sure. He got called into a U.S. camp. He didn't reject it. He just told them that he didn't want to file a one-time switch.
Yeah.
But he still said, listen, if you have a camp that I don't have to file a one-time switch, I'll come in. That's what he told them. So there's nothing, no news there.
Yeah, and then McKennie, it seems, according to 29, who we all know, look, I wouldn't necessarily believe everything 29 says, but when it comes to McKennie, they are friends. 29 says he's not going to Cincinnati. And to be honest, nobody should want him to go to Cincinnati. Even Cincinnati fans, if you're also a USMNT fan, should not want him in Cincinnati. Like, it's way too young for him to join a retirement league. He's 25 years old. He's just entering his prime. From what we understand, he's not going to Cincinnati, guys.
Also, people saying that he left the USMNT camp to go to Cincinnati. 29 already rejected that. But if you guys don't take his word for it, he did text me to talk about that real quick because I wanted to know. And like we said, you can take other things he says with a grain of salt, but with McKennie, he's been pretty reliable. And they are friends. They know each other. He did bring up a good point. He said Paul Tenorio and there's another journalist he said are literally following the team around in Copa America. Do you really think these guys that live off clicks from the internet, they're literally breaking news? That's what they live off, breaking news. They wouldn't know and they wouldn't mention that McKennie went to visit Cincinnati's facilities and all that. They would just hide that. I know they can be shows for the Federation and for MLS, but wouldn't that be something that MLS would want to leak? Because when Miles Robinson visited Cincinnati, that leaked right away.
Well, I think it was Apple who actually leaked it, wasn't it? Who said that story?
I think the guy just said it with nothing to back it.
So he's just making shit up.
Maybe someone kind of told. He said some weird thing. He also said McKennie will help that back line. He just seemed very uninformed. Go listen to the videos. Like, said something. Oh, that would be a great addition for Cincinnati. He would help that back line. Just seemed very poor informed. I think the one thing that was probably true, and I believe it, is there were reports saying that Cincinnati made an offer for Weston, which I believe that. Like,
Yeah,
sure, anyone can make an offer, and they
sure.
probably made a very good offer because they have money. Like MLS
I mean, I
teams
don't
have
think
money.
15 million is a good offer for McKennie, but yeah,
No, was it a salary or the transfer fee?
the transfer fee.
Yeah, transfer fee is not a good one.
15 million is low for a 25-year-old just entering his prime, who's like Juve's number one assist leader this last
Mhm.
season. That's very low.
Yeah, I thought it was 15 million a year as a salary because that was a good one if that was the case. But again, they might have made an offer. That's possible. Anyone can make an offer. I mean, Orlando City a few years back made an offer for Julian Alvarez. He said he didn't
Doesn't
want to
mean
come
shit.
to MLS.
Yeah,
So you can make an offer. That might have happened. It's just I just don't see a 25-year-old Weston McKennie that just had the best season of his career in a top league in the world, one of the best leagues in the world, 2 years away from probably the biggest moment of his career, a World Cup in his home country. He would come back to MLS. After 2026, could it happen? Even though he's going to be like 27, 28, maybe. I could see that happening. Go for money, back to your home country. I can't see that happening before the World Cup. I don't see it.
yeah, same.
And I
And
also hope, but again, if I don't know, man, if they offer him 15 million a year, I could see him shaking on like his decision, like,
but here's the thing. That's like whatever. So people online are going, "Oh, let him do whatever he wants. It's a chance to make money." Sure, as a professional, as a whatever, if you want to go retire at 25, that's fine. But we're talking from a USMNT perspective. And from a USMNT perspective, Weston's level will drop from playing in MLS. This happened to Bradley, this happened to Josie, this happened to Dempsey, this happened to every one of our guys who came back, especially the guys who came back too early, right? So we don't want Weston in MLS. And if he ends up going to MLS before the World Cup, then that should seriously put some doubt on what's his level going to be going into 2026, right? Next up, we have Jeff. Yeah, you were going to say something, Tac?
no, I was just gonna say that again. Weston McKennie is having to fight for his spot at Juventus, Leeds, wherever he is in Europe, week in and week out. Um, the fan pressure, that's different. There was some abuse there that we're not going to dive into here. We talked about that extensively, but just the pressure of having to perform every week to get that spot against quality players, he won't have that in MLS. He comes to MLS, Weston's a locked-in starter. Eventually, the level drops. Obviously, it's when he arrives in MLS, he's not a worse player immediately. 1 year, 2 years from the World Cup, probably not going to be the best version of McKennie by then.
Also, I think with McKennie's personality, he needs to be pushed.
Mm-hmm.
He is the kind of player who needs to be in an environment where he is pushed. His situation at Juve actually this season came about because he was basically told, "We don't want you here." They didn't even give him a locker. He was changing with the academy kids. They were like, "No, we don't want you." And so that drove McKennie to up his level after the fiasco that was Leeds. You think that would ever happen at Cincinnati? He could literally do whatever he wanted at Cincinnati. They would never drop him. They would never bench him. They'd make him the king of all their social media videos. It would be McKennie dancing and playing pranks on people. He'd probably have his own TV channel. That's not what Weston McKennie needs as a player. McKennie needs to be pushed, and he needs to be very consistently, given opportunity to prove himself and also benched if he's not playing well, right? So, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem like that's happening, okay? But we have the Bolivian secret weapon, Beta Berhalter. I woke up this morning and the first thing that hit me in my head was like, bare minimum Nepo baby Bert is going to be running our soccer team yet again today. And I just struggled to get excited for this game because I remembered that. This one's for you, Tac. By the way, y'all look handsome in the morning. Hugs and kisses. Spicy Jeff is starting his Copa America early. We have Nervosos. I've seen it suggested that Berhalter has compromising photos of U.S. soccer execs. Any truth to that? And if so, what do you think is in the photos? So, guys, you're giving U.S. soccer way too much credit here. U.S. soccer
They're
is
just stupid. There's no blackmail. They're just
completely
stupid.
incompetent. There is no blackmail.
Well, actually, I wouldn't say incompetent. I think that Berhalter is there to serve a purpose. It's not him blackmailing them.
No.
That's not happening. They hired him because they wanted to, because he's there to serve a purpose, and he's serving the purpose that they want.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's not. There's no photos.
there's no photos. You're giving look photos, nothing. This guy literally came out that he
Mhm.
beat a woman, and they still rehired him. So, gosh, it makes me wonder if we lose every game in Copa and he stays, then maybe Nervosos has a point. Maybe there is something we don't understand.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, Jeff has more. Tac, great hanging with you in Atlanta. Did you enjoy the groin? Jesus, Jeff.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I did not meet with Jeff in Atlanta.
This is fake news, Jeff.
It
Fake
is fake
news.
news from Jeff, and you're gonna get flagged for misinformation, Jeff. Right
Uh
there,
oh.
fake news, right there.
Also, we can I got one of my videos demonetized, I think, because of certain words that were said. So just be careful. I
Fake
might
news.
not be able to read certain super chats because I don't want to get this channel demonetized, guys. Jorge Fernando Taboada. Hey guys, I love what you guys do. On my way to Arlington, I saw the Mexico game at NRG last night. I am US Mexico Bolivia, rooting for Bolivia, but want USA to win. Wow. You are rooting for Bolivia, but you want USA to. Which is it then, Jorge? I'm confused.
Wait, yeah, wait, hold on. I am U.S. No, wait. Let me look at your actual chat. Is there a Bolivian flag there?
Yeah, there's a US, Mexican, and Bolivian flag. It says USMXBO.
Hold on. Yeah, I am U.S. Mexican Bolivia, rooting for Bolivia, but I want the U.S. I don't know. I don't get it.
Which is it? So you're rooting for Bolivia to play well, but maybe for the US to win? Either way, Jorge, welcome and thank you. I hope
I'll
you have
tell
a
you what.
fun
If
game.
Bolivia plays well, we might not win.
It's true. That is true. Javier says Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein are not reporting on McKennie to Cincinnati, so I call cap on any MLS news. Yeah, look, my MLS. There's also nothing to talk about in MLS, right? Let's be honest. So
Messi's not there right now, so what are you going to talk
Messi's
about?
not there. There's nothing else to talk about. Reporters are just having to like drum up some news to make MLS relevant in an irrelevant soccer world. Javier. All right. And then we have one more. Quick thoughts on Edson's injury. It looked like his hamstring, right?
That's what it looked like to me. I don't know. It looked like it was because he also held his hamstring. Some people said Achilles, and they started to blame the grass or the surface, but it's grass. It's not turf, as far as I know. So I don't understand. I think people are just trying to bash. It's unfortunate, but it looked like a muscle injury, and it's Mexico pulled the win, so they still have good odds of advancing, but I could still see them getting knocked down the group stage. It doesn't help Mexico. That's their best player. That is
Yeah.
quite literally their best player by
By
a
some
wide
margin.
margin. By a
Yeah.
wide margin. So it definitely doesn't help them. It's unfortunate too, because the way it looked, I don't see him playing this Copa America anymore.
Yeah. Now, we can address, even Weston McKennie said this, Lionel Scaloni said it, Emi Martinez said it, the Argentine goalkeeper. This grass being laid over turf is a problem. It's a huge problem. Players slip and slide. You were at the Canada-Argentina game. Did you see any of that?
Well, from a distance, it looked fine.
Right.
But again, I'll take the player's word for it. They are the ones playing. Because sometimes you'll look at the grass and it looks fine, and then when you start playing, it's shit. And
Yeah.
for me, it looked fine, but I didn't play. I was looking. They played. They complained, and it wasn't one. It wasn't two. It was a few players, so it probably was
Yeah.
crap.
And their own boy, Weston McKennie, complaining makes it even funnier. He
Mhm.
also complained about attendance. And can we just talk real briefly, Tac, about how shit is this, the marketing for this tournament? You know, McKennie's saying, why are we playing in a 70,000 seater stadium with 25,000 fans there? Yeah, I think that's a part of it. Maybe the stadium is too big for the U.S. game. But also, why has U.S. soccer failed to make this team popular in its own country? All right. I know that CONMEBOL and CONCACAF together are organizing this. U.S. soccer is very much involved in organizing this. So let's not, absolve them of any blame. But the reality is this team is so awful to watch. And they have given U.S. fans, especially casuals, diehards will always show up, sure, maybe. But even a lot of diehards now are stopped. They don't care. This team under Greg Berhalter, this leadership under U.S. soccer since 2018 has not given fans a reason to care about or love this team. And so I am not surprised. Weston McKennie complains about okay, the fan. There's not enough fans. You all wanted Berhalter back, and Berhalter ball is one of the reasons people don't want to watch this team. All right, Tac and I are in this space. We hear this all the time from people who did care about this team, 21, 22, up to the World Cup, and they were hopeful that this generation could do something special. And Tac, what is the number one thing that people say to us when they go, I can't follow this team anymore?
It's Greg.
They don't want to watch Berhalter ball. Okay. So that's not the only problem, of course. But if you're a casual, let's say somebody says to you, I tell a friend, hey, you got to go to this US game. The US is good now. And we talked to Derek and Brett about this. They have the same problem. They go to the game. Like if you went to that Austin game, let's say you were a sports fan living in Austin and you were like, oh, the US is good now. Oh, you're here. Oh, I'll go watch the TNT game. And you watch that game. Are you ever going to pay money to watch Berhalter ball again? No. No. And so over the last 5 years, U.S. soccer and this team have literally ground all of the hopes and the excitement of fans, old fans, new fans, casual fans, ground it into the ground, told them to shut the fuck up when they wanted a new coach, brought back the old guy, the same uninspiring, boring horseshoe cross and inshallah soccer coached by bare minimum Nepo baby Bert. And this is the result. People don't give a fuck. Copa America, they have an opportunity now to change that. If this team makes a semifinal run, if this team plays exciting, attacking soccer, if this team plays with grit and intensity and aggression and heart, then Americans will start to pay attention again. So all the whining and complaining from people who say, oh, nobody cares about this team. We don't have a soccer culture. That is false. We absolutely have a soccer culture. You know why I know? Because every team we play fills up the fucking stands in the United States.
Oh, but you got to add other things to it as well. Berhalter is one of the things, but the federation hasn't done anything to market this team properly. When we play in the city, and they know we're going to play in that city for months in advance, they know that there's no billboards, there's no atmosphere being built, just nothing about it. And again, you have millions of dollars, you have money to hire really good people, competent people that can do this work, and they just don't do it. And then you have a CEO that's completely tone deaf. And then after we got run over by Colombia 5-1, and the stadium was packed with Colombian fans. We tied Brazil 1-1, and then the stadium was packed with Brazilian fans. And this guy tweets, let's keep the momentum going. What's the momentum? The momentum was we sold
Profit.
out, we made money.
Profit.
We made money.
Yeah.
This is also the federation that we have a picture of that. We've posted on Twitter multiple times. They bragged about the attendance going down over the years. This is not fake news. This is real. They bragged about the attendance going down over the years, but the profits going up. They literally bragged about that. It's ran by greedy imbeciles that are not soccer people. They are not soccer people. They don't care about soccer culture. They just care about business, and they don't understand what it is to build an actual culture. We also have, I'm not going to get into this because some people love them, some people don't. I think the supporter groups of U.S. soccer are not good. I think it's not united. I don't think it's well organized. And I think the fact that a lot of the chants have to be approved by U.S. soccer, or if not approved, at least you have to kind of like bow to what they want so you can get some benefits from it. None of that works. So unfortunately, bad supporters group, bad federation, bad coach. No one cares. It shouldn't really be a surprise.
Yeah.
That the United States plays a major tournament at home and we can't sell out a stadium.
But Tac, it doesn't matter because Greg Berhalter talks to Tyler Adams about his son.
Yeah, no, he also said, hey, good morning, guys. He's like, oh.
Yeah, he says good morning. That's my favorite quote. They asked Tyler, what's so great about Greg? And have you noticed when the players say that, it's never about like tactics. It's always like, he's so nice to us, He says nice things. He asks.
Basic manners became like a major compliment at this point. Like,
also,
hey, good morning.
He's like, it's never about soccer. Like
yeah,
Tyler Adams said, when we talk, it's never about soccer outside of camp. Like, really? Really? That's literally your relationship.
Yeah. Overall, it's just kind of like there's so much that could be done better. Better coach, better marketing surrounding it, better community outreach, get more involved with the cities that you're playing in. Maybe don't avoid Latino communities. that might be a good start too. Maybe
Yeah.
don't avoid them,
Yeah.
embrace them, go there, beat the opponent, and win those fans over. But again, it's just it's things that we keep repeating every single week for
Yeah,
years. And
we've said this many times, but I want to say too, with the state that Mexico is in right now, think how many Mexican American fans there are, born and raised in the U.S. of Mexican heritage, that might be convinced to change loyalty. Not all of them, maybe not even most of them, but there are some who could go, "Hey, I'm American too, and this American team is inspiring me." I don't think we've given them enough reason though to do that. Sure, we're not as bad as Mexico, but that is a low, low bar right now, and why not embrace our Hispanic fans, even if they support somebody else and play well enough? Maybe you win them over, or at least you earn their respect, right? And that can lead to winning them over time. Raul Ramirez, did you guys watch the McBride interview on Kicking It podcast? I am saddened. He said Berhalter is the best guy for the job. Makes me sad. Yep, yeah, McBride is a shill. Okay. He also said Shaq Moore is our best 1v1 defender, right? Like, are you kidding me? He also said that 5 times Champions League winner Carlo Ancelotti basically called him a dinosaur compared to the modern coach Greg Berhalter. So anything that comes out of Brian McBride's mouth should be taken with a massive grain of salt. He hasn't had a job since he left U.S. Soccer in 2022, where he swallowed all the propaganda, hook, line, and sinker. And my guess is McBride wants an MLS front office job. And so he's going to go out there and go to bat for the Federation because, as we all know, the Federation and MLS are like chalk and cheese. They are like this, right? Just together. If you don't believe that, the one thing I can point to you, which is the most obvious, although there are many, is when MLS decided they weren't going to participate in the Open Cup and U.S. Soccer went, okay. Like,
well, also, why do people even watch these shows at this point? I just
exactly.
stopped watching a long time ago. I got tired of it. This is what they do, and this is what they will do if things go wrong in the Copa America. They show for the Federation, they show for MLS, they do all that nonsense. We've seen that in the cycle and all these podcasts. And then what happens is if things go wrong, like for example, we lose to Colombia 5-1, they all like stick their finger up in the air, see where the wind is blowing, and what do, Pete? They'll just go and just now Berhalter's on a hot seat. We're not getting the results done. What is this? What is that?
Yeah.
That's what they do. So, you guys want to watch it? Go watch it. I don't waste my time, man. I watch the game. I make my videos. I talk to Pete about it. I don't waste my time. I'm kind of tired of propaganda, shilling, and people that don't work in soccer because of passion. They work because they need a paycheck or because they need access to certain things. So, to me, that's what it is.
Yeah, agree 100%. Steve Golly, I don't think Weston to the Prem makes sense. He'll ride the bench and regress. Also, he has looked out of place and disinterested in the past few games. Yeah, Weston McKennie is a little bit overweight. It's okay to say that. Okay. This was becoming obvious at Juve. It still seems pretty obvious to me. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. This is not news, guys. This has been a problem for a while. Juve has talked about it. Chiellini has talked about it. Even McKennie himself has said that. He hasn't said that specifically, but he's, hinted at like being more professional and focused and all that. And yeah, that's there. The Prem is very high intensity league. It's a very quick league. The speed of play is very intense. There's no room. If there's no room for any amount of weakness on the ball, off the ball, your fitness, your athleticism. It's a very athletic league too. Yes, they're very technical players, but they're all athletes. And I agree with you. I don't think the Prem would necessarily be best for Weston. I think Germany or Italy makes the most sense for Weston right now. That being said, riding the bench in the Premier League, still a million times better than playing in Cincinnati. Okay? A million times better.
Oh, he can start also for many Premier League. It depends on where he goes.
Sure. He's probably not a top 4 or even top 6 starter, in my opinion, but he could easily start for a Brentford or a West Ham. Fulham. There are many teams that McKennie could start for. But yeah, McKennie does need to stay professional and watch his weight. He's a professional athlete. It's okay. It's okay to say that. This is, what's your opinions on Jimmy Conrad's theory that Triple G is a placeholder for a big manager like Pep? So again, I don't watch these shows. So I can't tell you exactly what he said.
But let's just put this. I don't know what he said, and let's just remove Jimmy Conrad from this comment because we don't know what he said. Let's just say anyone said that. Anyone
Yeah.
said that. Should this ever be taken seriously?
No. No.
Period. I don't know if he said that. So remove Jimmy Conrad. Let's say, what's your opinion? Remove Jimmy. Theory that Greg Berhalter is a placeholder for big manager like Pep and Jurgen. That is a moronic theory. Sorry if anyone believes that. It is a moronic theory because if you're going to do that, you just put an interim coach. You put an interim coach. Second thing, does anyone really think that Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola are even thinking about the U.S. men's national team? How much money would we have to pay? If Pep makes 20 million in Manchester City, probably have to pay 30, 40
Or double. Yeah.
or double. Yeah. Like
And we
Jurgen
don't want
Klopp,
to do that because of our commitment to paying the men and women's coach the same amount.
Jurgen Klopp just had an interview saying he was tired, he needed time to rest, and he needs some. He probably will take a sabbatical year. The theory is nonsense, and we don't need a coach like that. It doesn't have to be that coach. We don't even know if that would be the best for the national team. We're talking about names like we could have got Ricardo Gareca, Bielsa. We could have got Hervé Renard. We can still get Hervé Renard. These are coaches that have proven it at the national team that they can do. You don't have to get Pep or Jurgen. And also, that theory is just complete nonsense. Why would you rehire Berhalter? Well, okay, let's say, look how stupid this theory is. Greg Berhalter is a placeholder for a big manager. Okay, let's say Greg makes it to the Copa America final. You're just going to fire him because he was holding the position for Pep?
Yeah.
Right? Like he
Right.
makes it to the final. Let's say, because if he makes it to the final, I'm not going to become a Berhalter fan probably, but I'm going to say, well, keep him, right? He got the wins. He figured it out. Let's see how it goes. So what you're telling me is if he does that, he's just a placeholder, so he's going to get fired anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fuck? Like, it doesn't make sense. Anyone, and again, I'm not saying Jimmy Conrad because I didn't watch the show. I don't know if he said that. Anyone that says that, don't take it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next one here we have sup guys question. Does actually I think you mean what actually does Matt Crocker do? We don't know. We don't know. We're told about his very sophisticated processes. We know he did mental challenges, played Scrabble with Jesse Marsh, tic-tac-toe with Berhalter. After that, we're not quite sure what his responsibilities are because it's been zip quiet from him ever since.
Didn't Jesse imply that they locked him in a hotel? Not locked, but like
36 hours.
36 hours in a hotel, played some like games with him to test his mental strength.
Yeah. Which kind of is consistent with what they admitted. And all of it was basically pictures of Berhalter. And it was like, do you look like this guy? Yeah, really think about that, Jesse. Do you look like this guy? Is your name Greg? Yeah.
Are you willing to change your name and shave your head to become the national team coach?
Yeah.
Right? Are you willing? Do you have any past cases of domestic violence? We kind of look into that when we hire you as a coach.
Over here at US
Yeah,
Soccer.
that's actually very important in U.S. soccer. Like I said this before, I don't think Berhalter should be the coach just because he sucks ass. But for a federation that loves like social justice and loves like everything about it, they love it so much. You would think they wouldn't hire a guy that's known for have been a woman in the past.
Yeah.
Like, don't cancel Greg. He can go get a job for a club. But you would think they would not want that guy representing the country that they fight for so much social justice crap like all over the place. So I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Imagine if something like that came out of me and you. Oh, it'd be over. It's over. It's over.
Oh, yeah.
So
like Pete and Tac both beat their women.
It's over. As it should be for us if that comes out. It should be.
You should never watch us again.
It's so insane. It's so crazy. They put all this thing like U.S. soccer. One thing they love to do, and I'm talking specifically about the people in power. They love to virtue signal U.S. soccer. They love to do that.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, they're totally okay with it.
Yeah. It's like we have to pay the men's national team and the women's national team coach the same amount of money. Okay. But if the men's national team coach has beaten his wife, that's fine. That doesn't matter as much.
Yeah.
Brian McBride also said they tried to play players coach the same. Yeah. But I will say, even if you want to do that, I don't agree with that because I think that means you get the best possible coach for the women and definitely nowhere near the best possible coach for the men. So I don't agree with that policy. But even if you want to do that policy, you can get a lot better than Greg for 1.7 million. Actually, wasn't it 2.2 with bonuses?
I think with bonuses, it goes over 2, yeah.
So with over 2 million, you can get way better coaches than Greg Berhalter. Wasn't Greg Berhalter like the 6th highest at the World Cup? No, not 6th. He was in the top half at the World Cup. for sure.
Yeah, the overall point with that too is like the women's national team, only women can play for the women's national team and only man can play for the men's national team. So when they bring up the equal pay thing, they do whatever they want there. But the thing is, the man's and the women's national team head coaching job, a woman can coach the men's national team,
Right.
and a man can coach the women's national team. The head coaching job is not exclusive to one sex, so it doesn't make too much sense that the equal pay would be applied to both head coaching jobs. That's my overall point. Emma Hayes can coach the men's national team, and honestly, we might be better off with her.
Honestly, we may.
So I would
We
probably prefer just give Emma Hayes a raise, get Berhalter out, and put her to coach both. I don't know, double her salary then. Just double her salary, get Berhalter out. So the overall point is the women's and men. I mean, the last national team coach for the women's team, Vlaco, whatever, he was a man. So it's not exclusive to a sex. The women's or men's national team coach. I don't understand why they're applying that policy to the head coaching job. That's what I don't get.
Yeah. To be clear, I'm not talking about the players getting paid the same. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the coaches, and it's a very different thing. Okay. Bama SD 92 says, to be fair, it's impossible for AO to contribute more than the coach / federation. Yes, I agree. But we're not talking about them contributing to, I mean, atmosphere does help for sure. A good atmosphere contributes not only to the players on the field, but to the casuals. If you go to a game, all right, let's say you're from Bama, right? Let's say you're a college kid, Roll Tide, you're from Bama, you go to a soccer game and you see all the AO guys chanting, I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. Are you going to go, oh man, this is so cool. I love this. You're going to be like, oh, cringe, right? So that's where I think the American Outlaws do have a part to play in terms of bringing new fans into the sport, right? And if you go and you see that atmosphere, it can be a little bit cringe. And so I think that's where it is. In fact, I'll tell you right now, I play soccer in the park. I wore a Milan jersey. I bought a Milan jersey. And so I was walking up and this guy's Colombian. He says, oh, I didn't know you were a Milan fan. And so I said, yeah, well, I'm not, but, you know, and I showed him the name on the back, Pulisic. And he looks at me and he goes, I believe that we will win. Like he was making fun of it, right? It's corny. Fight and win. Not that AO does that. That's specifically Seattle, the Roldan stands. But yeah, there's a lot of corny stuff that's just like, AO definitely has a part. Who do you think is starting at the 6 and the 9? I think it will be Balogun and Musa is my guess, but your guess is probably as good as mine, Bama. And thank you for the super chat. Rokas Pukstas not being released for Olympics. Is that new news or did we know that already?
I have no idea. I didn't even know he was called in.
Yeah, I didn't know either. Do you have any data on that or any info?
As far as I know, was he even called in last game? It hasn't been called in.
He wasn't even in the last camp because we had to have Duncan McGuire and Johan Gomez.
He hasn't been called in for a lot of the Olympic camps, actually. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know if it even matters. We should convince young, great athletes who want to play football to play soccer. Soccer's players make more money and play longer. Ooh, Kai. So that's a complex one. Some probably make more, but a lot of them don't make more, right? It depends how good you are, A. B, you can't just take an athlete and tell them to go play soccer. They have to start playing soccer at 2, 3, 4 years old and be playing nonstop their entire life. And even then, they might not be good enough. It's a very different world. You can't just get an athlete. What's his name tried to play soccer? The fastest man in the world. Usain Bolt. Couldn't even make it in the Australian League. It doesn't matter how good of an athlete you are. I mean, if you're supremely technical, being an athlete absolutely helps. It's a big part of it. But if you don't have the technical skills, try to get Tom Brady to play soccer, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, like obviously the more athletic you are, you have many advantages in soccer, but you need the technical ability and also IQ in the game, reading in the game, all of that. But of course, like if you can have that and be super athletic, well, that's where you get like the world-class players.
Yeah, exactly. Greg Berhalter, I am no placeholder. I am the big manager. I know he's like trolling, but he's actually kind of right. The only way Berhalter gets out after this Copa America is if we get grouped. And even then, it's not guaranteed. I'd say it's the only real possibility. Brian Devins, $200 tickets are too costly. Hockey arena prices. Yeah, it is too costly. But again, U.S. soccer doesn't really want lots of people. They want fewer people who pay lots of money. They would rather fleece the few soccer fans that exist than make it cheaper for everybody. That's the truth. What are the U.S. soccer's Fed expectations for Greg? Quarterfinals? I mean, we don't know what their expectations are, right? That's the problem. Matt Crocker came out and said, oh, he has a job till 2026 and possibly beyond. So it sounds like they believe Greg is their guy, regardless of what happens.
Pete, let me ask you a question here.
Yeah.
Would you take Emma Hayes over Berhalter?
Right now, yes. I would take a lot of people over
If
Berhalter.
you watch also her interviews, like her or not, she's actually tough. And she seems like she would be tough on the players. She would not take shit in. I would honestly take Emma Hayes over Greg Berhalter right now, if given the option.
I don't think she would also just want to be their friend.
No, no, she doesn't seem like she wants to be anyone's friend.
No.
She doesn't seem like it. She's like, I want results. That's what she seems like she wants to win.
Which is kind of what our soccer culture needs. Like, we're still people get excited by a lot of things in this country sometimes. A lot, not you guys. I think a lot of you guys are on similar page to us. But you see fans that get more excited about Weston's dance video than like Weston scoring a goal. No, honestly. Or more excited about Tyler Adams yelling "fuck you" at somebody than us winning a game.
It just feels like she would not take crap. That's the first thing. She would actually make this team try to have a winner's mentality, if that's possible with that, believing in themselves.
Yeah.
It just seems like the personality she has fits a lot more what the U.S. would want rather than what U.S. would need rather than Berhalter. I just don't think the U.S. men's national team players would be very much on board with her personality. That's the only thing that I would be concerned about. She would probably confront bullshit like performances. And on top of that, what's crazy to me is the same federation that got Emma Hayes for the women's national team, that I'm no expert in women's soccer, but as far as I heard and as far as I know, she's probably the best in the world or up there.
Well, up there, yeah.
Up there as one of the best in the world. So they literally went for that. And then with the men's national team, they just accept mediocrity. That's what I don't get. So it's like they clearly had that vision for the women's team where it's like, get the best. And they did. Thank God they did. Yeah. Now, do the same for the men. Let's get the best we can. And I'm not saying Pep Guardiola. It doesn't have to be the best, like Pep Guardiola. That might not even be a good option for the U.S. men's national team.
I don't think he would make a great national team manager of anybody, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't.
Maybe Spain.
Specifically not the U.S. because he's not going to have the players he's used to coaching.
Maybe Spain. I think Spain he'd be okay.
Maybe. But even with Spain, I don't know if he would have the time to be as much of a control freak as he can be at Manchester City. And even with Spain, he has a more limited pool that he has to work with, right? You can't buy a $200 million defender or whatever. You have to deal, and so I don't think he would necessarily like, oh, he's coaching Spain, they're going to win the World Cup for sure. I'm sure he'd be a good coach, but I don't know if his style really fits the international game as well as it does the club. That's my honest opinion. And again, like, guys, we look better under Hudson and BJ than we looked under Berhalter. The bar does not need to be, let's go get the best coach in the world. It's let's get a coach who's good at coaching in the international game, maybe who has a proven record or at least a proven record of success in an actual league, right? Not the Swedish second division, not MLS, an actual league, right? A Pellegrino Matarazzo, a Hervé Renard, Gareca was available. There were so many guys that were available. Roberto Martinez was available. Greg Berhalter made more than Roberto Martinez in Qatar. You know this? People say, we can't afford Roberto Martinez. He was getting paid less by Belgium than Greg Berhalter was getting paid. So there's the idea that we can't afford a coach. It's just nonsense. Raul with a very generous super chat. Thank you, Raul. Also, remember, they basically shamed the men's players to give up money so they could give it to the women players. Okay. From what I remember, Raul, the men volunteered. They said, listen, let's just, pool our money with the women because we feel like it's the right thing to do. I don't remember anything about U.S. soccer shaming them. Is it possible that happened behind the scenes? I don't know. But honestly, Raul, I have to go with the men came. It was Walker Zimmerman and Tyler Adams and whoever. They said, look, we feel that we should share our, pool our earnings with the women. And good for the men. for that level of generosity, right? I don't think anybody shamed them into doing it though. So I think that might be a tad bit of misinformation.
I just think nobody should get paid to play for the national. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to that. I don't think,
Yeah,
besides the coach, the player, so don't work for free. Well, you're representing your country. As far as I know, aren't, well, at least in Brazil is like that. I believe it's in
the
the U.S.
problem is that
too.
the national teams make all this money. So it's hard to convince players that the federation's going to make all of this money. You don't get any of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there would have to be transparency of where that money goes towards. Like
Right.
literally maybe ending pay to play. That could be something.
Like going
Investing
into, yeah.
soccer in
Player
this
development.
country or helping certain communities. I think players should not get paid to play for the national. That's they should pay for their cost. Obviously, the federation should pay for all the cost, travel, food, everything. They shouldn't have cost with it because they already get deals out of sponsorships and everything. You make your money with the club, and that's what I think. Lamar's saying Army gets paid and they represent their country. There's a bit of a difference there, right? There's a bit of a difference there between representing the Army and the U.S. men's national team.
So Tac
Right?
and I don't always disagree or often disagree. I think I disagree with you. I think they should get paid because of just the amount of money that's involved. And it happens everywhere in the world. Like to be the only country that doesn't pay their national team, it's going to be tough. I think they should get paid. But Raul, as far as what happened with this is kind of happened a few years ago. The men decided, you're right, the women did lose on summary judgment. The men decided, let's have equal pay. We'll share our earnings with the women. If the men want to do that, I don't have a problem with it. Okay. That's kind of between them. Thank you, though, for the super chat. We appreciate it. Might
Well,
have
just,
been.
but Pete, just to make one thing clear, I'm for paying them for accomplishments, not for like just appearance fees.
Oh,
Like you
I
go
see
play,
what you're saying.
yeah, sure. Like there should be awards. Like, oh, you reached the quarterfinals or whatever. Yes, the federation pays accordingly to that. But I'm pretty sure U.S. Soccer pays them an appearance fee. It's like if he goes in, it's like
Yeah.
15, 20, or $30,000 each time they play. Not
Even get
for
called into camp, I think you get paid.
I think so too.
Shaq
Yes,
Moore,
you
man,
get.
that's how he makes his money.
Yeah, that's how Shaq Moore lives. No, he probably makes good money in MLS, dude. Probably making a good money in MLS. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying like they go there and make no, they win the World Cup and these players get no. There should be rewards and things that will motivate them more. Even though representing your country should be enough of a motivation. But I think that's just my take on it.
So Perry Stein says our under 17 beat Argentina and Uruguay. What is the significance of this?
Nothing.
So friendly games at youth level mean nothing, Perry, because we don't know A, how seriously the opponent took it. B, we don't know, did they bring their best players, right? It's always very hard to tell. It's good, it's like, okay, that's exciting, but unless you do it in a competitive game, like at an under 20 World Cup, which by the way, the qualifiers for the under 20 World Cup are happening this July. And we're in a group with Jamaica and Costa Rica. So it's not going to be necessary. I mean, we should still win, get out of our group, try to qualify for the under 20 World Cup, but it's going to be fun. Look, friendly results at the youth level mean very little. It's good that you can hang at that level, but the U.S. has been doing that for 10 years. I remember we beat our under 17s, beat Brazil's under 17s back in 2013. Doesn't mean we ever became the better team, right? So it's, it doesn't really mean much. It's like good for them. I'm glad, and good exposure, obviously, for them to play against opponents like that. But unless it's a competitive game, it's hard to read too much into it.
And even so, you don't read into the results. You watch the game and you read into the player profiles of specific players because
Right.
we could go on and beat France in the U20s, but we're not going to be better than them in 5 years.
Sure.
You don't know because good teams and good development, they don't really focus on the results of the youth level. They focus on player development. So sometimes that's playing a guy that maybe is not too big and relies on his athletic ability. So you might lose that game, but you're helping develop that talent.
Right.
Right? Because we've seen this with the U.S. where they'll play players like Cade Cowell, that's so much more athletic, and the U18s, U20s, and then it's like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And yes, because he's so much stronger, so much faster, it makes him look better. Then when he goes to the professional level and everyone's strong, everyone's fast, and it kind of like levels out, doesn't do anything. That's the whole point. Youth level friendlies, I would not take any results into consideration, to be honest.
Yeah. It's Elmo, 3-0 USA win. What would that mean as far as setting the tone for the rest of the tournament? I'll say this. To me, how they play is a bit more important than the score, okay? Because if we score 3 goals in the last 10 minutes after playing like shit the whole game, then that's not a good performance, right? In terms of setting the tone for the rest of the tournament. But if we pepper their goal with shots, their goalie makes 7-8 saves, we hit the post twice, and we win 3-0, and it's a competent, dynamic, effective, effervescent, fluid performance, then obviously we're going to take a lot of encouragement from that result. So the scoreline matters, yes, and let me be very clear, we should swat this team aside with ease. The expectations is that we should swat this team aside with ease. Based on the player profiles and the quality of player, we should expect the U.S. to swat Bolivia aside tonight. I don't want to say effortlessly, but with ease. Okay? A good coach would have them doing that. We have the players to do that. Let's expect that. Let's set that bar and make that the standard. And then when they don't meet it, ask why, right? Although we probably know. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, Tac.
Well, it's what we said earlier in the stream. This is the Bolivian side that's in a 10-game losing streak in Copa America. In the past 29 Copa America games, they got 1 win. This is not a good team. But again, you kind of mentioned it. We can beat them just 2-0, and we can be satisfied with that because we could just maybe played well, create a lot of chances, hit the post a few times, and we just didn't. We got unlucky. But 2-0 win, complete dominant, gave Bolivia no opportunities. Or we can get a 3-0 win like the Trinidad one, where we play like crap, man up, and like with 11 against 10, and we score in the last 10 minutes. That's worse than the 2-0 win. It's more about getting a convincing win. 1-0 I would not accept. It has to be like a 2-goal differential, look dangerous, and not allow Bolivia to play. Don't let them get goal scoring opportunities. So it's about getting a 2-0 win or above and the performance itself. But yeah, you could get a 3-0 win and play like crap. We saw that last year in Austin when the U.S. played Trinidad. We literally played like crap.
Utter crap. Raul Ramirez, another hot take. The narrative, this is the worst Mexico generation, is false. They just had no competition. Mexico is who we thought they were. Always been overrated and always failed in top 5 leagues. Okay, I got to disagree with you, Raul.
It's not true.
Mexico didn't get out of their group at this last World Cup. And I think they get out of their group at almost every World Cup before that. Okay, so that's a big part of it.
At least from 94 beyond, they got out of the group every single time. And some groups were really tough. They had Rafa Marquez win a Champions League with Barcelona. Who do they have now? Edson Alvarez is the best player. Rafa Marquez is a way better player than Edson Alvarez will ever be. Chicharito was not bad, dude. He was good. Chicharito was a good player.
Champions League with Manchester United.
Guardado, Hector Herrera was playing Champions League for
They had amazing players. They had amazing players.
No. I don't agree with that too.
Ochoa.
Carlos Vela too, when he was playing.
Vela, yeah. They had amazing players. Guardado, Herrera, Chicharito, Vela, even Chucky, honestly, was better when he was younger. Dude, right?
Gio dos Santos, when he was starting
Giovanni dos Santos. Yeah.
Was good too. No, I 100% don't agree with that. Mexico was way better 20 years ago, way better, and even a few years ago.
Yeah. But look, thank you for the super chat. You're very generous today, Raul, and we appreciate it. Guys, it's been an hour, so we're going to call it.
They're saying Mexico didn't make it out of the group in 82 and 90. Did they play in the 90 World Cup? Was that the one they got banned?
But it's okay. You said since 94. Right?
Yeah. So since 94,
30 years.
They've always made it out of the group. Ever since I was born, they've always made it out of the group.
But guys, it's not just that they didn't make it out of their World Cup group. You also have to look at the player pool that's coming through. And if you need any evidence, look at the fact that they didn't qualify for the Olympics.
They didn't play in 90, Pete. They didn't play in 90.
Yeah, they were banned.
Yeah.
They didn't qualify for this Olympics. They didn't qualify for this Under-20 World Cup. Right? So that speaks to the quality of the player pool that's coming through. And you see that. That was 2 years ago, right? The Olympic qualifiers were 2 years ago. It was 2022, I'm sorry. It was 2022. And you're seeing that lack of any real talent in their Olympic or under-20 team now being evident in their senior team, because as these old guys retire and leave, who's replacing? Nobody. Who's replacing Raul Jimenez? Who's replacing Hector Herrera? Who's replacing Guardado? None of these guys are being replaced by the same quality. And so it's a drop-off. Right. So it's not just, and there's a good chance they don't get out of their Copa America group. I mean, yeah, they got 3 points versus Jamaica, but they're going to probably have to beat Ecuador. Right. So it is the worst Mexico we've ever seen. They might still get out of their group. We'll see. But I think all of the evidence in terms of also their players not being able to make it in Europe at a good level is a big part of it as well. in terms of understanding the level of this team and of this player pool. But it has been an hour, guys. We're going to cut it off here. Tac will be, we will all go to Tac's channel, Tactical Manager TV. In case you're new here, we do a thing for every game. We do the pregame at Tactical Manager TV. We do the live watch along at Tactical Manager TV. And then we come back after the game and we do a good hour of post-game breakdown on this channel, 11 Yanks. What time are we going live today, Tac?
30, 40 minutes prior, something like that. We'll see.
Okay.
For sure, 30 minutes.
It's scheduled already, right?
So yeah.
It's scheduled. Go subscribe to Tactical Manager TV. We'll see you there. Smash the like button on this stream so other people can find it in the lead up to the game. And just subscribe if you're new. Hit subscribe. Share this with a friend. Call a friend. Say, hey, are you excited to watch Berhalter ball today? You know, that sort of thing. But thanks for hanging, guys. Thank you for all the super chat, the support. Thanks for hanging with us. Have a great one, and we'll see you this afternoon. Let's go USA. Oh, wait. Real quick. Score predictions. I'm going 2-0 USA.
I said 2-0 also. Yeah, 2-0.
You said 2-0. All right, so we're both saying 2-0.